Well, hey there, guys. I know it's been a while doing this show broadcast now, but it's a show that everybody has been a fan of for many, many years. And I know you guys have been watching a lot of the game content that I put out, both in the arcade world and the retro gaming and console world. But today, with where we are in the world right now, coming out of this pandemic and everybody switching to an online medium and a way that they can get their message out, and some folks doing their day job from home and being online, I thought it would be really cool to get some industry professionals up here on the panel to talk about how it's changed their world and how it's changing for the future and how we feel things aren't going to go back. And we also want to talk about some different tips and tricks that we've used during this time to help us be successful in the field. And right now, joining me, we have another guest that's joining us a little later on, and we are going to open it up so that you can be a part of this if you'd like to join us in a Zoom call. You can come in and see the show and participate. We'll give that link out here in YouTube in just a few minutes. But I want to introduce one of the panelists that I have with me, and that is Mr. Greg Terry from the Greg Terry Experience on YouTube. Welcome, sir.
Hey, thank you, Stephen. It is a joy to be here with you today, my friend.
Well, I appreciate you coming on here, and I know Jeff is going to join us in a little bit, but I really wanted to just dissect some of this because I know you, of all people, your whole world was rattled by this pandemic, and switching from traveling constantly to now doing everything online and your show and your productions. Do you foresee yourself going back 100% full-time traveling, or do you feel like your broadcast is where it's at, man?
Never, my friend. Uh, so typically for me, and thank all of you guys joining in today, but typically for me, it was pre-COVID, 30 weeks a year approximately, traveling around the country and around the world. Um, I'm a preacher, I'm a teacher, a musician. I would do some studio work for guys traveling, playing keyboards, whatever. Um, so it was normal. Lots of missionary work that has been going on since the 90s that will continue. A lot of work in Russia, Ukraine, nations of the former Soviet Union. A few years ago, really expanded into Africa. So all of these travels going on. And then global pandemic hits. In fact, when the pandemic hit, Stephen, I was actually in Tanzania. I was in the air heading to Tanzania when the global pandemic was declared by the World Health Organization. And from that moment on, things changed. I was able to stay a few days there, able to get on the last Delta flight that was scheduled coming out of Dar es Salaam, made it back home, and immediately realized this was not going to be a 2 or 3 week deal, and started the process of switching to online ministry, information technology, distribution of news, gaming, just an entire world change for me. So to answer your question in a nutshell, yes, I will be traveling again. In fact, next weekend I will be in California and Nevada, but I'm flying out on a Friday, deal on Saturday, Sunday, Monday back home. Um, I am now tailoring my travel schedule around my online programming schedule because I've built some momentum, and you do not want to lose that. So, no, I will never go back to 30 weeks a year of travel. I would say hopefully 10 to 12. And then, of course, my ministry here locally where I live in Pennsylvania. And then the thing that is starting and exploding, the online ministry of music, news, and gaming. That's where we're at.
And this is something that folks that they follow me. I see a lot of the chatter going on right now on YouTube and Facebook. They're asking about games and stuff. And guys, I just want to stress that this isn't really a gaming show. What we're doing here, so I apologize if you got the wrong impression. This is strictly focusing on broadcasting, and I know a lot of you gamers out there. You see what we do on the
Hey,
Retro Buzz.
Steven.
Yes.
So I checked over on your chat right there, and this you've got quite a few guys in from Russia and Ukraine, and take over the pages. So I just want to bring attention. Я только хочу сказать добро пожаловать в наша программа. Наши друзья из Украины и в России. И мы очень рады вы здесь, и мы желаем эта программа будем помочь для вас. Добро пожаловать. There you go, Stephen. I gave you a nice Russian welcome there.
I appreciate that because I speak fluent in gibberish, so at least that's what I was told.
Sorry to interrupt. I just saw
No,
somebody in there
you're good.
chatting.
But I know a lot of these guys, and we're starting this out. I don't want you to think we're talking about the pandemic. I don't want anybody to think that. We want your comments. A lot of guys are wondering, because you've been forced to this area, a lot of businesses tune into this, and they want to know how we can up our game. How can we step up our game to have professional, high-quality video on the web to get our products out there, to get our message out there. And some of you guys with gaming, you want to know how to step it up. Like Greg here, he produces every night at 10:30 p.m. Eastern time till about 1 o'clock, sometimes later. Call of Duty. Him and the guys, they go on there. I was on last night. I'm completely horrible, but I still played. It was fun to give people entertainment because I get killed all the time. But it was still a lot of fun, right? We get to just kind of chill and have a good Friday night. He's taken it and made it professional, real nice overlays and things like that. And so that's what we kind of want to focus on this episode here, and kind of talk you through some of the struggles that we've had and how you can find help in the community. Because that's something, and Jeff's going to join in a little while, but that's something we found, I've seen. There's a lot of guys that have been popping up lately that are so-called professionals in the space, and I'm not here to dog on anybody, but it seems like anytime something shiny comes up, people jump on the bandwagon. Like I remember when VR came out, right? Everybody jumped on VR, and then they're a VR expert, and there's nothing, and I know you can attest to this, there's nothing about doing your due diligence and putting your time in and going through the pains, right? The labor pains of setting this stuff up. Everybody wants like a one-click application to do this, and I think you could attest to it. It ain't like that.
No, it's not like that at all. In fact, even though we're going to talk about the broadcast side of it, and it just seems it's popping up everywhere, and it's the hottest thing since Doritos came on the market. The reality is this is nothing but hard work. And if you want to get to a place and you have a desire or you feel a calling to broadcast, A, you have to have some talent for it. B, you've got to invest in some technology. And C, even though you may be a streamer, I'm in my studio right now alone. I'm connected to your studio, Stephen, as the crow flies. You're 35 miles from me, but we're connected. But what we have is also relationship. Mm-hmm. And these things are key. Whether you're going to stream games, whether you're going to stream news, whether you're going to stream teaching, there has to be relationship. There has to be due diligence. There has to be hard work. Because if you do not put those things in, this will become old very quick. Flash in the pans will come. They're gone. When I do a lot of research preparing for my news programs or even my gaming, Stephen, I do a lot of looking on YouTube, and I see guys, and the overwhelming majority of guys who have attempted to stream or done stuff in the past, you can see their curve of success. It lasted about 6 months, and then it was gone. So I think the fifth word we would add to that, Stephen, is commitment.
Yeah, and Rexer has a good comment here. No, we're not picking you apart, Rex. I'm not saying that your free StreamYard podcast with crappy equipment isn't top of the line. But I think how much preparation you put in. He does a trivia show where he goes through and he has to set up like Photoshop and PowerPoints to bring up these titles where he can take things away like a Family Feud style
Awesome.
show. He doesn't just go and, okay, well, I'm going to do this trivia show and start up the stream and have nothing to go along with it. He puts in the prep time. It's not just pressing a button and going live and sit there and twiddle your thumbs. Like even with what I've been doing, I've been working on this for the last 2 hours.
Let, let me say it this way. So the Rexer show, great question. Absolutely not. I'm not, for myself, talking about equipment. I'm saying you want to invest and get better over time, but I'm actually talking about the back end. So when Steven tells me what Rexer is doing, I understand you completely. I do a news program, an hour live news program on Tuesdays and Fridays on my YouTube channel, Greg Terry Experience, and it is growing crazily good. I multi-stream, multi-platforms, but I'm putting the work in on the backside. And Rexer, I'm sure, I know you are putting the work in on the backside. So this is not about equipment or what you
No.
have to work with. This is about sticking to your guns, doing the best you can with what you have, and always attempting to get better. Now, with that said, Stephen, I've been working in Ukraine and Russia since 1994, and I'm going to tell you right now, some of my most dearest friends are Ukrainian and Russian, Moldovan, Lithuanian, Latvian, Estonian. And I'm going to tell you right now, in the world of technology and computers, they're the smartest people I know. We have been doing videos, video production, early days of streaming. When I would be over there traveling, we would do concerts, outreach events. And Stephen, we would take just bare bones equipment.
Yeah.
But these guys are so smart and brilliant. We would put out top end production. And I would just love to see everybody, as they grow and stick to what they feel called to do not stay stagnant, but invest in your equipment to get better.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. And Rexer here says, yeah, hey guys, yeah, Steven knows it was just an open-ended question. Get some dialogue. Yeah, no, absolutely. But I think this is what people are afraid of. People are afraid of to put in the work for production, for the show. As you guys were commenting, we'll use Rexer as an example because he was one that kind of spoke up. And feel free, guys. We'll put out a Zoom link here in a little bit if you want to join on Zoom and talk to us about what your questions or comments on it. But sitting here, being in front of camera is one thing, but not having an idea. Like when I called Greg up, I said, hey, I'm thinking about doing this for broadcasting, going on there and giving some of these guys something to chew on. So when they think about starting this up, they have some kind of foundation. They have some way to get into this space to put top-notch content out there. It's not all of, and everybody gets wrapped up with the whole equipment thing. And it doesn't, you can have all the equipment in the world if you don't know how it works, or you're terrible on camera or terrible on the mic, that equipment's not going to get you viewers. It's just not, because you guys don't even see any of the equipment that I have. You don't see the equipment that Greg over here has. Mm-hmm. So it means nothing in the grand scheme of things. So preparing your content rather than just flipping the camera on and fumbling through everything is something that I see a lot of content creators, Greg, they don't do that. They just sit there and, wait for their viewers to come in. We have this joke, right, where we said, consistency, oh, that doesn't pay off, because we saw somebody posted something like that and said, you never should go live on a platform and just do it over and over and over and over again, because you're not going to get any viewers. I think you have a different story than that.
Absolutely. I started with one, and the consistency was there, and my viewership on Facebook platform is where it has really grown and taken off. And now I'm catching up on the back end of YouTube, because I didn't even start on YouTube. Everything was on Facebook, and I've just got that going. So even you guys that are subscribing today, watching this program, I appreciate it. Hope it'll be a a help for you. But here's what I'm going to say, Stephen. I saw an article last night, and it was about Twitch. So I'm going to talk about a platform right now and make a comparison to what you're talking about. So we're not talking about having the best equipment. We're not talking about, you know, having the newest everything so that you can be the best. And no, your comment was, let's focus on some legitimate content that will grow an audience and will give people a reason to come back. Right now, Twitch is in a battle, and I'm an affiliate streamer on Twitch for my gaming. But Stephen, I'm going to be honest with you, and for everybody else listening out here, I'm probably going to break that affiliate ship and resign from it and go to YouTube only. Stephen and I were trying to figure out on the gaming side where to game Twitch, YouTube. And I'm going to tell you why, Stephen, and we can discuss this off camera, but it'd be interesting for the guys to hear that are in the program. Twitch, for example, the majority of viewers on Twitch right now, they're not watching Nick Merckx play Warzone. They're not watching Ninja play Assassin's Creed. What they are watching are young ladies in hot tubs with bikinis just chatting. It's the biggest thing out. All the articles were hitting yesterday. There's no content, zero. They're just showing their bodies in a hot tub. If you go to Twitch, it's devastating. And now so many streamers came out yesterday and says, this has to stop. You're turning our online gaming platform into a soft porn site. This is not what this was for. Stop it. But Twitch, I'm sure, is making so much money off this because the top viewers, and you can look it up yourself on your own time, are these girls sitting in hot tubs. It's pathetic. There's no content.
Right. No, absolutely. That's the
Joe,
problem I have. That's the problem I have. And I stream to Twitch now for the game show. I'm streaming to Twitch right now for this show. But you can't compete with that because that's what the guys are looking for because it's free, right? And that's what the type of content that they prefer.
Stephen, on the back end of it, there's no effort. These people are literally filling a hot tub and sitting in it.
Well, and this is something else I tried to talk to content creators. Like, we have a bunch of different content creators in the gaming space, and one of the things that I tried to talk to them about is, like, look, you can get the best camera out there, but if your audio, and I know you're big on audio, Chris is big on audio, you guys have helped me tremendously in the studio with that. If your video is perfect, but your audio sounds like you're talking out of a trash can, nobody's going to tune in, period.
No. 100%. In fact, I would even go the other way, guys that are watching this program today or will be watching it later. My first investment into my equipment now, a year into this, would be to make sure my audio is better than my video and let my video catch up. Audio is so important, and it doesn't have to be a huge investment, but it is key. Absolutely key.
I tell people this, like, for instance, Rexer's got a great audio setup. He sounds good. He's clear. It doesn't matter. He could have the worst video, which he doesn't, but he could. And I would still watch his show because I can hear him. I can understand him. And the content's there. And content ultimately is king. Let's just be honest. But if you can't hear the person, your video could be frozen. It could be distorted. You could be having some issues, but you know what? People will forgive that. If you're fatiguing their ears, or it's just screeching, or it's overdriven, or it's just all out bad, they're shutting you down. They're turning you off. They don't care what you have to say. It's over. It's done.
Yeah, even basic EQ.
Right.
I'm running 5 Waves plugins on this Shure SM7B. And I'm still tweaking all the time, trying to get it better and better and better. Because I'm a musician. They're on my keyboards. My studio's over here. Audio, content's king. Audio is queen for sure.
I have to laugh here, Shotgun Sean. He goes, that's why I stopped watching Steven play Fortnite, because he's always in a bikini in the hot tub playing. Got sick of watching. You caught me
That's the truth,
red-handed.
dude.
You caught me red-handed. That guy cracks me up. But no, that's the truth. Rainwater Game says, I have a $20 mic set up and it's great. But you know what? Listen, you get what your budget can allow you. Sometimes those $20 mics aren't worth the plastic they're made out of, most of them. But you're making the effort. It probably sounds a lot better than if you didn't have a microphone and you're using a built-in microphone. So you got to start somewhere, right? I can't fault you for that. But
Well,
you'll see as you go.
that goes back to my story from my wonderful Ukrainian and Russian friends. You can take equipment that is not the most expensive and really tweak it to get the best out of it. So if you have a $20 budget, that's great. Now, just don't rely on, the advertisement about that $20, $50 microphone. You plug it in USB, it'll work great. No, take it the next step. Work on some freeware software to EQ or whatever you need to do to take what you have, make it better.
Yeah, and I apologize here. I'm putting the Zoom links in here for you guys. I thought I had posted it in here, but I did not. So the link should be there. Now, I do want to state though, we aren't going to get into like video game thoughts and ideas, and that's a totally different show. This is more about questions about broadcasting or production, or what your thoughts are. Or questions that you may have to do this. That's what we kind of want to discuss today. And I know you guys are spoiled because there was no Retro Buzz yesterday, so you're wanting to know all this other stuff. But I'm in production right now. There's a lot of things that I'm doing, and so it's one of those things that I'm working on getting Jeff on here as well. So if you want to join in, I see some folks trying to get in, so bear with me. Don't hang up. We'll get you in right now. And I got to get Jeff in on here. So
can I just say one thing while
absolutely.
You're doing that? I see the Rexer show. He's 100% right. Audio is not easy when you have minimal options in an app like StreamYard, no limiter, no compression, and you can't control it through an external app with filters. That is correct. But, and I know it's nice, but OBS just came out with OBS 27, which is really up their game with, and we're talking about the state of live production, with the ability for stingers and transitions. And of course, OBS has all of the filters that you can add in over your audio to add a noise gate or to add some compression. So, and I know StreamYard is cool, and other free streaming platforms for minimal cost. OBS is free. So there are some options out there where at least you can get some filters over top of your cameras and your audio.
So we're getting Jeff squared away as well, but we got looks like Hollywood has joined us up here on the Zoom call. Let me get you situated here, Mr. Hollywood. If you want to tip your camera a little bit, buddy.
Do you have audio from me?
I do, Jeff.
Audio
I got
video?
you. I got you audio and video.
I'm ready.
All right. So we've got. I'll get you situated. But there you go, Mr. Hollywood, and I'll get rid of where it says input for Zoom crew.
Nice lower third.
I know, it's pretty cool, isn't it?
I love it.
This is what you do on the fly. So even with the equipment,
hey, you the man.
We'll make it work one way or the other. See, watch how quick it gets done. Ready? Boom! Look at that.
Steven.
Good. It's not even reversed.
No, absolutely not. So we've got Jeff in high def also joining us. Mr. Jeffrey Fitzgerald. If you guys don't know him, Mr. Emmy Award winner here. I don't know if he can hear us or not, but we can hear him, and he's live right now. He can't hear us. You can't. But we'll get him squared away once he's able to. Can you hear us?
I can hear you guys now.
Oh, there we go.
Oh,
we got. I just did your introduction.
Oh well, hey, then I'm glad to be here. Right? It's good to see you again.
So for those that don't know, Jeff is a two-time Emmy Award winner for his video production skills. I'll let you kind of elaborate a little bit on that.
Yeah, no, it was. I've been doing video for years. My mother was a TV producer, and I was blessed to have the opportunity to live in the radio and TV world in the shadows as a little guy and grow up in it. And after 35 years of producing video, both online and live stream, I was really honored last year to be nominated for 4 Emmys and win 2 for a national for a statewide PSA campaign for the North Carolina Association of Fire Chiefs. I've done a lot of work in the fire rescue recruiting world, and from that, I'm really hoping to do even more. We're doing right now currently a national wildfire PSA, so I'm really looking forward to being in Colorado next week for that.
Awesome. So what we were doing, just to catch Jeff up real quick, and we've got some guys in the Zoom call, we were kind of explaining, Greg and I were explaining about how it's not always about equipment. You know, audio, you got to get your audio and everything good. But what we want to do is offer you guys some tips, some help, some of the pains and things we've gone through over the last years doing this. Greg has grown leaps and bounds in the short amount of time I've known him with his video production because he's putting in the time. And that was kind of the premise around here. It's not always about the gear. It's about preparation, you know. So, like I said, up on the Zoom, we have Hollywood. Who else do we have up on? Who else do we have on the Zoom?
Hey. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Mr. Jeff Rainwater. There we go.
How's it going?
What's going on, man?
I'm showing off this mic. Hey, how do I sound?
Sound
Does
good.
it sound okay? This microphone was $20 on Amazon. You get the stand, you get the shock mount, you get the condenser mic, and you get the pop filter for $20. I know stands alone that cost $20 or more. So, and I don't know.
It sounds good.
I sound good for $20?
Absolutely.
I mean,
Definitely.
this is not, you know, this is no like $100, $200 microphone setup or whatever, but for $20, come on. That's in everybody's budget, right? So there you go.
It sounds better than a built-in microphone 100%. For we've heard some $20 microphones sound like a cat scratching the window or chalkboard. So
I was just using the webcam microphone before.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah, I know. You're just like, oh, don't say that, man. Don't say. But yeah, no, it's sorry. Hey, you know what? You see this? I don't know how many of you guys know. Hollywood knows about this probably. I lost a bet to Your Average Gamer. So he bet me that he would beat me in this Jaws Pinball FX tournament thing. And I'm like, dude, I'm already ahead. Like, this guy sucks at pinball. I got this. No. So I can't shave for a month now. So now you get scruffy Jeff. So
that's all good. It's all good. We're not all prima donnas like this gentleman right here.
Another couple of weeks, I'll be able to shave.
I knew where you were going with that. I knew exactly where you were going with that.
We've been around the time or two talking about that kind of stuff. But Jeff, that's a prime example of using your means and using what you have to accomplish. I mean, you sound better. And one of the other things I think people have a hard time with when they have microphones, and I think Jeff Fitzgerald, you know where I'm going with this. I cannot stand guys that ride a microphone where they're holding it and they got to move with it and they're doing all this and they're all over the place and you hear all that noise. Exactly what he's doing right now, you know, or they don't get the proximity right. Like you can see Greg right now. He has a really good proximity on his microphone. You're probably, what, 4 or 5 inches away from the microphone tip on it?
Yeah. But, you know, if I want that proximity, it's just a little move.
Exactly.
That's right.
That's the directional mic, right?
That's
so
that 4 inches
more...
between regular voice and moving toward, you know, the voice of God to get in there. Really amazing, you know. But, you know, the thing is that that SM7, you know, I bought 2 of those in 1999, and they are freaking incredible microphones. And the way that Greg's got that positioned takes away all the pop. You know, a lot of people have the pop filters, and those are cool. But you don't necessarily have to have that kind of thing. If you have that microphone off at a 45-degree angle where you're blowing past it, you can get all that great sound and not have to do that kind of thing. So some of those little things make it really nice. And it doesn't matter whether it's a professional microphone along those lines or maybe something that we just saw a moment ago. The big thing I think everybody really needs to remember, it's what you do with what you have. And even though I know we're talking webcams are horrible, even a webcam, if you really did it right and you're in a quiet room and you got yourself framed up and you're able to look in and be personal and you're speaking a little bit louder without yelling, even that might work for you. But the thing is that there's that middle ground of meeting it in the middle and making it work for you.
And Jeff Rainwater, I see you're actually, whether you know it or not, you're actually double filtering your microphone by having both.
I was just thinking of when you said that. Yeah, I'm like, is this overkill? Should have.
I would take that muff off the top and just use the pop filter. And because the reason I'll say that.
Do it well live here, and you're all.
Yeah,
like,
just do it. No, do it. So, and I'm going to say it like this. And Jeff, having that pop filter in the front, personally, it teaches people how to have proximity effect with their microphone. That's why I most of the time recommend, if you're going to keep one or the other, do that, because it teaches you how to keep that distance on the microphone.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with having it. The big question I've got for Jeff, though, is that microphone unidirectional or omnidirectional? In other words, is it designed for you to speak into a direction where it's going to pick up a lot more audio, or is it designed to pick up audio from every angle that you might be around? Because if it's unidirectional, and let's say it's supposed to be aimed at you, having it straight up in the air like that wouldn't work, right? And so I can't really tell what it looks like, but I'm actually on a lapel mic right now because I'm on a backup machine here. But this RE27 is designed almost like a laser. 80% of the audio is going to be when it's aimed at me like this, but if I was to talk over here, it's about 50%, and back here there's like 10%. So a lot of it is just knowing what the microphone is capable of and how it's designed to really get that best voice bang for the buck.
Yeah, that's a good question, and I was noticing because you have the omnidirectional. The other guy there's got an omnidirectional one, and I think this one's unidirectional. I don't know.
Well,
you can
tell.
Like this and tell me if you
tap
think you can
tap on the microphone, tap on it, and you should be able to hear it change in your headphones, and you'll find your sweet spot. So you're gonna like actually tap the microphone, so like you can.
I mean, it does look like he's sprinkling an incantation for streaming around it, right? But that's actually a really good thing to do, right?
I will hit 300
thing
subscribers right now.
I mean, that's exactly what you got to do.
And well, if you are broadcasting and talking, that single direction microphone, so the SM7B is pointing at me, I'm at a 45-degree angle, I'm talking over it just like Jeff said. But here's the benefit of this. I've got $100 worth of sound paneling around. The fans that are on my computer are being absorbed. They're not coming into the back because my microphone is not omnidirectional. When I'm having to run air conditioner with so many studio lights and computers, you can't pick that up. So I can still have a dead silent room where there's no spillage, little noise suppression, little noise gate, and bam, all you're hearing is my voice, and then I can still manipulate it and still be comfortable in the studio. So I personally like, for a person that is doing a podcast, or you're doing a news program or gaming or whatever, I want a microphone that is not, for me personally, omnidirectional.
Yeah, and you'll hear, like, this is the first time in a long time. Jeff remembers my PR40, which is almost like his SM7B and the RE20. I used to have that sit in front of me because I was a big fan of having good audio. I don't care if the microphone's sitting in front of me. But with part of my new job is I have to be mobile. I have to be able to, like you guys have watched it on the show where I've walked over to the arcade. I could still talk to you guys. I could still hear you guys because I'm wireless. And I could do a demonstration on the iArcade or the At Games Legends. So for me, I'm sacrificing a little bit of audio quality going wireless. Anytime you go wireless, you're going to sacrifice some form of quality. It's just how it is. Whether it's Wi-Fi, hardwire internet, audio, that sort of thing. So is it worth it? For me, it is, because in my studio environment. Now, Greg, he found out he loves that mic. He sounds so much better with that mic than other mics he's used. Jeff as well, using a lav. People just think they'll buy a lav and put it on, but there's a lot of tuning that involves. Like Greg, I have sound panels. Jeff, I know you've got some things in your studio. There's a lot of things people don't see, behind the scenes.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I like what Greg alluded to about the noise gate. If you don't know or not familiar with what that is, there are components in either plugins for your streaming software, or for instance, I've got a digital mixer here. It's a Behringer X32, which is a really like 10 mixers in one, the way it's built. But it has the ability to dial up a little dial that the higher you go, it will remove all of the lower sounds. In other words, I would have to talk at a certain level before I would be able to break through that silent barrier. And so I'm actually a foot and a half away from, you know, a 24 core AMD and big fans and things like that. I've got them baffled a little bit, but there's definite noise. But with the noise gate, you can turn that up a little bit, and actually it sounds just like you're in a perfectly quiet room when there's a little bit of noise, and it takes a little bit of that hollowness out of things. So yeah, there's a lot of little tricks you can use.
So let's shift.
And
Go ahead.
Stephen, just to finish that thought, the other thing that's vitally important is making sure you are bringing enough gain. So it doesn't matter if you're StreamYard, OBS, whatever microphone, you've got to make sure you're bringing in enough gain. So like microphones like this, very low gain, you can use like a cloud lifter. So you're making absolutely sure you've got enough gain coming into your software so that you can actually shape the sound.
Yeah, that is critical. Particular microphone should have been prepackaged with a cloud lifter. It adds 20 decibels of clean, noiseless gain. And with the RE27 over here, I've actually bought one for that a few weeks back, because you're cranking that gain all the way up to 75% just to get it to where you would think it would be normal. But anytime you're raising your fader up higher, you're raising up your gain higher, you're expanding that area that it's trying to listen. So in reality, if you give it the juice it needs, you can turn those things way back down. That way all the noise in the room gets smaller, and now you begin to sound more full again. And it's just a critical component. If you got an SM7, you got to have a cloud lifter for sure.
So
100%.
P-Dubs asked in the chat room, he says, hey, is this a new show that you guys have been, or you were talking about you were going to be doing, or is this just a one-off? Right now, this is a show that I did for multiple years with Jeff Fitzgerald here and Marty McPadden, who wasn't able to be with us today. But I would like to get the four of us, Greg, Terry, Marty McPadden, and Jeff and myself, to do this on a regular basis, maybe monthly, to help the community, because that was one of the reasons I came over to the gaming community. That really, besides, you know, obviously I'm into this stuff, but to help the gaming community get that high-end video for doing reviews and doing live streams and things like that. And I think with the knowledge that the panel has, we can help you guys up your game without spending a lot. You don't have to spend a lot. I do this for a living. This is part of my living, and I'll show you a little bit later some examples of things, why we didn't have the show last night, and some of the other things that are going on right now outside of what you guys normally see and hear from me. But with guys like Jeff Fitzgerald and also Greg Terry here, they've got a vast background not only in tech, but how to present yourself on camera. I mean, Greg, you are phenomenal on camera. Jeff, you're phenomenal on camera. These are things that you guys can learn as we get going. Is this something that you guys would want to see, you, the chat room? I mean, it's probably not for everybody, but we want to open it up with a Zoom room like this so that you guys can interact with us and ask questions going forward. But there was a question, and I want to present it to the panel. Cheap editing software. What are you guys using to edit your videos, whether they're YouTube videos, or Greg, your program, or Jeff, your program? What are you guys using? Greg, we'll start with you.
Okay, so I would recommend, I run both an Apple platform and a PC platform for video editing. But the cheap solution, if you're on a PC, my opinion, is Adobe Premiere Elements. You can actually get a bundle with like a Photoshop and a Premiere Elements. It's so simple to use. It's so powerful. The other thing I would recommend that is free, and it is a smoker, man, is the software called GIMP. So if you want to do some, sorry for the P there, but if you want to do some photo editing, GIMP is fantastic. But for me, very simple, Adobe Premiere Elements works flawlessly, and it's very easy to use.
Mr. Jeff Fitzgerald, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I think that's spot on. You know, one of the things every one of us know you can get caught up in is all the bright, shiny lights of seeing the people that are influencers that you really respect and saying, hey, I want to be like them. And so, I need the big microphone, and I'll answer the edit question in a second. But when we're talking about these, looking like your influencers and things like that, there are tricks to the trade. And editing is one of those, because you don't need to go out and buy, a gigantic system and do all these things. At the end of the day, a really good editing piece of software, number one, is obviously got to be stable, but you're doing cuts and transitions. It doesn't matter what they look like. I've been certified in Final Cut years ago. I've used Avid, Adrenaline, Media Composer, Edius. Now I've been in Adobe Premiere for years. I'm hating it in some ways because I think they need to be more innovative. But at the end of the day, Adobe Premiere is a very solid product, and it's inexpensive for the value that it has. And it's not one of these weird companies that you see advertised in the small ads in between the utilities on your, when you're going to these download pages and things. It's somebody that has a brand name, and it works. And I would agree with Greg that, Elements is actually a really, really good starting point. And before everybody gasps and says, but that costs money, just remember that your time costs money as well, right? And so you have to really decide, are you willing to spend weeks and months of dealing with something that's not going to work for you? Or is it better to spend $19 a month or whatever it might be and settle in and say, wow, I'm ready to roll. I can do my content and make it beautiful and don't have to worry about it. But I think his advice was spot on.
And I have to agree with these guys. I use Adobe. There are some free PC and Mac software. Like if you have a Mac, iMovie comes with it free, and iMovie you can do a lot with iMovie in your Mac to do some of the cool effects that you see here, green screen, things like that. Also on the PC side, Adobe, what is it, $59 a month I think it is, if you want to do because I use Photoshop too for building graphics.
Yep.
In Illustrator. So you got to take the time. Lynda.com is a good place to go to learn how to use some of these tools. I think it's owned by LinkedIn now, isn't it? LinkedIn Learning, yeah, or something like that. So, like you said, Jeff, I love the way you said it. You definitely, what's your time worth, and how much time do you have? Somebody said, I wish there was more hours in a day. I wish I could get more time to do this. And you can if you hire people to do it, because then you get that time.
Hey, Steven, give me a cut, and I'll show you this for the community there. Let me roll this up. Right here. Where is my... oh, I didn't turn my stinking NDI on. Anyway, if you go to... Let me go back to the real one. If you go to Elements or Premiere.com for Adobe, you actually can buy the software for $99 and you own it. There's no monthly subscription. And if you want Photoshop and Premiere, it's $149, but that's it. You're done. You're purchased. You're not on a subscription. And honestly, if you want to go and buy Final Cut, which I work in Final Cut as well, your learning curve on that will be 6 months. Premiere, 24 hours, you're cooking.
I have to laugh at this comment, Brad. He's like, this is a whole new language. And so that's where we need your feedback as the chat room and you guys on Zoom. If you're not understanding something, we're not here to make fun of anybody. We're not here to be stupid about it. We want to help you understand about it. We want to help you and to make the best content. So let's go to this. Jeff Rainwater. What kind of content are you looking to create? Because obviously I've been seeing you're starting to get the whole bug of creating videos and you're buying a microphone. Talk to us a little bit. Tell us what you're trying to do and what's stumping you and holding you up, and maybe we can offer some advice to help point you in the right direction.
So I don't use Premiere and all this fancy stuff that you guys are using. I'm using one that's called DaVinci Resolve. I don't know. Have you guys heard of this one?
Yeah.
No. I don't know if that's a good one or not. It seems to be working okay for me, but I don't have a lot of comparison. But I'm taking notes over here as you guys are talking about stuff, because I'm like, hey, maybe there's something where I can cut my video editing time in half because I use something that's easier.
Well, so let's stop you there for a second. That is a beautiful point, and I think everyone here on the panel. So you ever heard the phrase, you get what you pay for? Because everybody wants free, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Right.
The reason is, I say this about, and I'm sorry for you Android users out there, but I'm going to say it like this with the iPhone. Okay. For every 10 steps it takes me to do something on an Android, it takes me 2 steps on an iPhone. Okay, and this isn't a Mac versus a PC or an iPhone versus Android war. Just explaining a simple edit in something like DaVinci, which you don't know any better, you're using it, it was free or whatever. You might be able to do that in Premiere by clicking a button and it automatically levels all the audio, just like that. Where
Well,
in DaVinci you got to go through and do everything.
so I'll give you a perfect example because it doesn't just go to video editing. Now, I know a lot of you guys, if you're making videos,
Right.
you got to make thumbnails for these videos too.
Yes.
Right? Now, how much time do you spend on a thumbnail? Because last night I was watching Retro Ralph, and they had Mason, who's the guy that does all of his thumbnails for him. He was on there, and that guy's just like rocking and rolling. I was at the same time working on a thumbnail, and I must have spent, 2 hours just working on this thumbnail. Like I'm like masking stuff
Yeah.
by hand and all this. This guy's just like click a button and it's boom. It just does what he wants it to do. And I'm going, like, he just makes it look so easy, and it's almost defeating for me to watch him do that. And I'm just like,
No.
To make my thumbnail.
Yeah, don't take it that way. Don't take it that way at all. I mean, the truth is, you only know what you know. This is not a totem pole experience where, people are above and below you, and you're trying to figure out where you are in this line. I mean, everybody's trying to move their content forward. And DaVinci Resolve is actually a really good choice. I have not used it myself, but I've got a lot of friends, including some pros, who have left Premiere and they're using DaVinci, and they say it's working really well. And again, at the end of the day, what does it really mean to edit? It's where you're reducing things that you have recorded into an order, into a flow, and into a rhythm with some music that really tells your story for you. So I'll tell you this. The big conversation about how to make your editing go from wherever it is 4 hours now to an hour, the plugin you're looking for is in your seat. It's actually you. It's knowing how to do content editing. I don't know what kind of content you're doing, but whether it's a podcast or whether you're recording a video, make notes or have someone take notes for you of the parts that you really like. If you're sitting there and you're saying something, you're like, hey, that was really good, that last 20 seconds, write down, use the stopwatch, write down where that is in that video. So you're not now watching the whole 3 hours again. And when I edit, a lot of times for myself or clients, I'm literally doing these like what I call strategic dive bombers, like aircraft in the war, coming in, strategically going in and hitting that in and out point and coming back out. And the edit becomes very short that way because now I've actually come in prepared and I know what I want to remove or move and things like that. So some of it is really just getting familiar with how to assemble that story content in your head, because the edit is not the place to sit there and go, do I want to do this or this? That's what's going to take forever.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
Here's a couple of things I would
challenge.
suggest. Workflow. Hey, let me give you a practical solution to your thumbnail headache. Take a look at canva.com. I'm not, I'm not paid by them, but
That's what I use for thumbnails.
it's free.
Exactly. Canva.
You can make quick thumbnails,
Yep.
overlays, masking. Your 2 hours can go to 10 minutes. Second, my recommendation. When I walk into my studio, I have a process. What I turn on, how I turn on, when I turn on, what I load up, and I have a process for how I exit the studio. When I'm working on video editing,
I have a process
photo editing, or building my news program in vMix, I have a process. I do the same thing every time. I make use of the folder system on my PC or Mac. I don't just have stuff sitting on the desktop or just randomly where did I download that to? So I do the same thing every time. And over time, what used to take 30 minutes takes 25, takes 20. I have viewers on my news program watching every Tuesday and Friday. And they will message me and they'll say, PG, because it's the PG and Barney show. They'll say, PG, when you were talking about the Biden administration at minute 41, it was a smoking 2 minutes. So I'll go find that. I'll clip it out. And then I make a quick hot point and I'll roll something like that. This is not over yet. But she was threatening the life of another girl. It's such a small minority making so much noise. So I'm not recreating the wheel. It's done. I roll my clip in. I'm editing 20 minutes. Music, boom, done. Video's up. Canva.com, 10 minutes. I mean, literally an hour. I'm done.
We also have joining us, it looks like on Zoom, Mr. Rexer Show himself.
Yes, thank you very much for having me. How are you guys?
Hey, hey, Rexer.
Hello. I got a couple questions, guys. Two things, if that's okay. Are we ready to?
Yeah,
can
man,
I
throw
pose
it
a
in
couple
there.
Questions.
Throw it in there.
So, I'm a new kind of podcaster, so to speak. Entering in at a low budget, low cost. But I want to go back to the mic issue here. We talked about mics. Now, isn't there a big difference between a condenser and a dynamic into the distance of where you're talking into the mic? So if I have a condenser mic like this one, it's unidirectional, I need to be 4 to 6 inches away. But I also have this mic, which is a dynamic, and this is actually a music mic, right? For bands and rock band. When I talk into it, I got to talk really close into it, like I'm singing in a band. So I think it's key for people to understand the differences of those mics, and how to use them as well. So I just want to know your thoughts on that. Am I correct? Am I wrong? How does that all work?
You're 100% right, but there are guys, and you see a lot of TV. I want to call them TV radio personalities, like you see, like Rush Limbaugh, right? When he was doing it, he used a condenser, but they had so much compression and noise gating on there that he would work that thing like a dynamic mic. Do you guys remember when they put him on TV? He would move it, and I think it was the Neumann microphone that he used. I want to say. And you're right, Rex. I mean, it was a condenser microphone. It should have been picking up all the way around, but they had that thing so compressed because he loved the sound of it that you weren't getting the
true golden EIB.
Oh, was it? Okay. So he would work that different microphone. He would work that thing, and he made it sound like a dynamic microphone. And you can do that, but like what Jeff Rainwater has, his is a condenser microphone. He doesn't need to be up on top of it. Mine is dynamic. I know, Jeff, you have your lav is what, condenser?
Yeah. And the Electro Voice is dynamic. But the bigger thing I think to remember with all this, because it's really easy to get overwhelmed, right? Because you start hearing all these unfamiliar words and what does it mean to this and this. Doesn't matter what kind of microphone it is. If you spend 15 minutes with just you and that microphone, listening with headphones, you'll learn where the right place to put it is, how loud you can get, whether or not, usually I don't put any of them in front of me because of the air, but where to position it, how far away, that kind of thing. It makes perfect sense that with a singing microphone, you've got to be right up on it because they're designed for people to be yelling into that thing. And that's why there's differences between that kind of mic versus the lapel mic versus the radio style mic. And I mean, it's honestly, you can get very theoretical and technical, but just spend some time with it and you'll immediately learn where the real sweet sound is in it.
Okay. I got one other question on that. Now, what do you guys think about interfaces? I have to use an interface for my dynamic mic, and this is an Evo 4 because it works. Usually you have USB mics, you just plug them right into the PC. But for my XLR mic, I need an interface. They're not very compatible. What's that?
Is that phantom power? Is that what it's giving it?
No, it gets power right from a USB, USB-A to the PC. Okay. I'll be listening.
And you're getting beat by your son. Go ahead. Greg, you want to start with that one? Because I know you just recently put in an audio interface into your setup.
So here I wanted the ability to have my mic. I wanted the ability to have a guest mic. And I also wanted the ability to run some keyboards. Let's say in the middle of the program, I want to do a little live music or whatever, even here from the studio. So I actually went to the Behringer Euphoria UMC 404 HD. It's been very good. It's what vMix uses over there in Australia for their programs. It's simple. It's got a mix minus, which we can talk about if we would like to talk about that. It's got Midas preamps, which are industry standard, some of the top of the line. Couple $100. I'm looking at it right now. That's why I keep looking over. I'm very happy with it. But my next step, probably, I would go ahead and bump on up to a more. I don't know. I'm a Midas fan, Behringer fan. Right now, for a lot of the other production stuff I'm doing, they've really stepped up their game with their preamps. So probably I would go to something of that nature. But I'm very happy. Plugs into the USB. But this is not relying on USB power. It also has an additional power supply to it. Very clean, very happy, very simple. No problem. Works great.
I mean, the reason I got this for number one was because when I have a person with me on the stream and they're local, they're with me, I needed two mics plugged into one interface so there wasn't an echo, you know, of each mic picking up. You know, but the problem is that it's not very good with PCs and Windows, and I can't get a good output on it. And then I might need a cloud lifter to boost the gain if my app doesn't have a gain like OBS does, such as StreamYard.
Well, yeah, let me speak to this for just a second. Number one, I don't think a cloud lifter is in the equation just yet. Where I think you maybe have to step back a minute and say, hey, I'm doing some cool stuff, doing some podcasting, and I want to be able to do some great interviews. You may be a candidate for something, and again, you know, I don't know what costs look like in this for you, but you may be a candidate for something like a Rodecaster, which is basically a portable mixer. You know, with the XLRs, it's got the ability to play in your music and things along those lines, and it's an all-in-one unit. Something like that could be very effective if you're on the road and you want to plug two mics in and be able to hear it. I don't know the device that you've got in front of you, but I will tell you, I'm a big fan of the Scarlett series from Focusrite. You know, they make a solo, and they call them 2i2s and 4i4s and all that. Just gives you more microphone plugs, basically, to be able to plug in. But if I were you, I would go more in the direction of buying a dedicated I/O device that has got a good brand reputation behind it, a lot of reviews. Focusrite is one of those. There's a million others. But the Rodecaster you see there, I mean, that is a little pricey. But at the same time, again, you know, for everybody, you got to kind of step back and say, okay, so how serious do I want this to be? And that doesn't mean that you're saying how much quality do I want to gain or lose. You can still be great with less, for sure. But it's like, how much trouble do you want to go through to get what you're looking to get, right? And so some of these products are designed to make it really easy to sit down and you're throwing in just, it all goes in a bag, right? You pull it out and on a tabletop and you're at, you know, Comic-Con and you're doing your interviews and things like that. So I think some of it is strategy, trying to figure out, like, you know, ultimately, you know, where you want to go so that you're not piecemealing all the way. And then one day you realize you've bought 10 things in a row that 7 of them would have bought you something a lot better that was an all-in-one unit.
Yeah, and that's why this is cost efficient. It was only like, you know, Evo. It's an Evo 4. It's the lower budget, you know. But yeah, okay, I appreciate it. You guys get back to the Photoshop. I'd like to hang out for a little bit, though.
No, we're calling this segment Grand Theft Audio. So
sorry, it is so important, and I've struggled, you know. And people got to know, you know, some of the easiest is just get a USB mic, plug it in. You can avoid all the interfaces and all the other stuff. It's a little more complicated, but.
But even like, okay, before you jump, if you got to jump, just like positioning your let's go to him real quick. So let me pull the lower third off. You can see when he's on camera here, and I put up a lower third, it's not going through his mouth. He doesn't look like Wilson on Tim the Toolman Taylor, right? So many people I see, they don't even have a camera presence. Rexer has it. He doesn't have a really busy background. He's showing his passions behind him. You don't have that. I've watched so many people do podcasts and video. I mean, look at Jeff Fitzgerald. Just a plain background. You can tell he's newsy. Green screen setup. It's clean green screen. Greg has a clean newsroom green screen setup there too. You can see it's not overbearing and overdriven. I think that's something people need to take a look at when they're doing video. You have what everybody should be striving for that's doing live video is proper camera placement. And that's a whole nother topic we can get into. But
yeah.
Even
absolutely.
audio.
Well,
Steven.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Jeff.
Oh, I'm sorry. There's a delay, obviously. Cut back to that shot for me for just 1 second of our friend here. So let me ask you a question. Do you have the ability for you to get a little closer? And here's what I'm thinking about. One of the things people don't realize when you're talking about camera and placement is how well do you connect with your audience. And this is kind of a silly example, but if I'm back a little farther and I'm a little farther down, it works. You know, you can still talk and things, but when you're able to get up, level up at eye level, and you can get in a little bit more, and you're like, hey, give me your money for this new ebook I've written, right?
Yeah.
You have the ability to really command a lot more presence and things. And you've got a cool background, but I feel like you could probably come a little bit closer to your camera and maybe up a little bit, and that would even really make it even perfect, you know, stellar.
Yeah, and the thing is here is that I got a monitor behind me, so you know I'm pointing right at my camera because there's a monitor and the camera on top. I have my laptop right below it, so I have two screens up and down, and I can go back and forth, and I can now right now I don't have my other monitor on, but I also have a monitor over here that I don't want to use because I don't want to be looking over here while my audience is over here. So I'm trying to keep line of sight with my audience, and I can go back up and down, have multiple. It's a very difficult.
Oh, I get you. Yeah.
And I want to show everybody. Take a look at this double box shot that we have set up right here. Now Rex is sitting perfect like he normally would, and so is Jeff. Look at what their shoulders are at. When I set up a double box shot, so many times I see these guys using StreamYard and stuff, and they just let people come on their program. Start setting things up like this. Look how nice it looks. It looks just this little bit of tweaking. You guys can have that professional look. You watch CNN, watch Fox, watch the Weather Channel. This is how their double boxes look. Their triple boxes. This is how they look. Everybody's even and equal. You don't have a guy that has a really big head on there, or like Jeff said, somebody that's sunk way back in there. This is what you want. And these are, guys, guess what? It's free.
It's easy and free, yeah.
It's just camera positioning.
Yeah.
You're convicting me.
Hello.
I want to get personal with my viewers. The sun from my window was, clouding my view, so I thought I'd get a little. I really got to show off the scruff. So
it's the new personal space podcast.
Yeah, that's
horror.
But see what that does though. Let's go back to Rex and Jeff. The lower thirds down there, it's not interfering with them. They can talk. And, if Rex was showing his microphone, you could see it. He wouldn't have to be bobbing around inside the window. And it's just little tips like that could step up your quality. And you didn't have to spend anything. It's just fundamentals that maybe you don't know.
Well, Steve, that goes so much back to what we started talking about at the beginning of the show. Because people are coming from whatever world that they love toward video, there seems to be, and I can understand it, there's a belief and a mentality that whatever that quality you're looking for it's something that can be purchased. When in reality, video as a profession, as TV over the years, those kind of things, all the secrets that are really used are exactly that. They're tips and techniques. They're not technology. And that's why everyone thinks, oh, I can buy a better thing. And your 4K camera will just make your mediocre content suck in 4K. It's not going to do a lot for you learning how to tell a really great story and lead people on something where in their mind they're like, oh my gosh, this was incredible, and that's the part of it that you got to focus on as well to be really good as a storyteller.
Yeah. Now, Steven, next show, I want to talk about lighting, okay? We can talk about lighting forever.
Listen.
Get back to the Photoshop stuff. That's interesting, too.
We'll get into. Well, that's one thing we wanted to put out to you guys, and that's why we want to open it up as a Zoom, because if we do this like as a monthly show, if these guys are up for doing it, we want it to be controlled by the community. We want you guys to say, this is what we want to hear about this week. How do you get exceptional lighting? Like, how do you get, like Jeff just showed, camera presence? We could do a whole setting on how to do green screen, because Jeff and Greg have it nailed. Like you can't even tell that they're on a green screen because they've got the proper lighting, they got the proper distance on their green screen, and they're not getting that green halo that most people do. And it's so important because lighting goes hand in hand with that. Where I don't have a green screen, I cheat. I have a 52-inch TV behind me, and it just looks like I'm in front of a green screen. So there's different techniques to that. How to put a screen behind you to where you don't see any glare and it doesn't look like it. I've had so many people say to me for my job, go, well, what kind of green screen are you using? I'm not. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. So we can get in all this stuff.
I saw that OBS had a new plug-in for no green screen, and you can just
Oh.
you don't even. Is that any good? Have you guys seen that
At-
in the new OBS?
Look at Glenn. Glenn's a prime example of no green screen with that
Yeah.
filter. Yes, go ahead, Greg. Sorry.
I just wanted to make. I'm sorry to go backwards for a minute, but I heard. I don't remember who, but they were talking about even using a USB microphone.
Yes.
But I just wanted to close that topic out. I would never, if possible, use a USB microphone. XLR is going to carry signal better, even with the interface. But B, I'm gonna be honest with you. I do not trust USB. It only takes one time to boot your computer up. You're late coming into the studio. You're supposed to be on at 8 o'clock Eastern, and bam, your USB driver is not picking up that microphone. I used to use a Rode USB microphone, and it was every 3 or 4 days, it was gone. So eliminate that headache, go XLR, little interface, and you are seamless. You know it's going to work.
Well, let me backpedal on there just a second there too, Greg, because I actually agree with everything you're saying at 100%. I would say that there's two things going on when somebody is moving into this kind of an arena. There is what they can handle at the moment versus what is best for them ultimately, right? And so if you're in a situation where you don't really even understand how to work an audio mixer, or you don't understand XLR and all the things that come with it and all those things, you may end up creating more problems for yourself with the multiple things that maybe could go wrong versus the one. And the reason why I'm actually going to say this, that there is a USB microphone I think you could look at. It's the Shure version of the SM7 that Greg has. It's a smaller, it's not the same microphone by any stretch, but it sounds really nice. I know people who use it and have had great success with it. And sorry, phone is always going off. And it's one of these things where it might get you through for a season while you're learning and trying to be better at these things. But Greg's absolutely right. XLR is the industry. It's been that way for 60 years, and it's where everything is, and it's not going to go away. So that investment's going to be something you can carry for years.
Yeah, I think that's the balance, Stephen, is, where are you at in your production?
Yes.
And I'm right there in the middle. I moved over to XLR. I know it's the better way to go, but I know it's a little bit more difficult because I'm just using a PC and plugging in with. So I've moved, but people who are watching and they might not understand XLR. He's exactly right. XLR in the long run is the way to go,
Right.
but it all depends where you're at in your whole channel and your production.
And what you're wearing a headset right now, and they make Logitech ones with a microphone, and they don't sound half bad. If you're doing a podcast and you're getting started, you can get one of them for $50, and you can get podcasting audio only, and have a decent sound. Would you stay at that? Probably not.
There is a Shure product, and I'm a Shure guy. On my vocals, I still sing with an SM58, but there is, I think it's an MV7 put
That's
out
the one
by
I'm talking
Shure.
about.
Yes.
Okay, so the MV7 is phenomenal, USB stable, but if you wanted to make an investment in a microphone that you can start USB, but maybe in the future you're looking to go XLR, I'm 99% sure the MV7 will run either
It has
USB
XLR on it.
and XLR. So it's
Yeah,
a great way to
it's a great
invest.
mic.
Yes, 100% agree.
So right here
That's
I have
it.
it pulled up, the MV7, and it has
That's
a
it.
USB, and then the XLR. It has micro, full size, and mini, it looks like, and like you said, XLR for that professional
sir.
application. So absolutely is a great option for doing that.
No question.
And here's the thing, I know Rex, you were sparking some conversation earlier when we were talking about, everybody sees video as, oh, I need this equipment, but you're doing with StreamYard what years ago, Jeff, myself, Greg, we needed physical like vMix or TriCasters and stuff to do. Man, if StreamYard was available 15 years ago, I think this whole scenario would be a lot different, right? But it wasn't. People, and to my point, people watching this show or what, you're not seeing all this. You're not seeing this. You're not seeing me operate, right? You're seeing this. This is what you're seeing. It doesn't matter. That's why we try to say it doesn't matter what equipment you're using. It does to an extent to the final outcome. But if you're making it work with what you have, there's no need to invest into something like that. Greg, you're not using half of this. And
No.
Jeff, you're not using half of this.
Well, I mean, I think the thing is that your content is what's going to save you, right? I mean, your quality is only going to make better a better presentation of what you're trying to say anyway. There are people with an iPhone holding it with a flimsy left arm bouncing all over the place, but what they're saying
Yeah.
is so important to the national conversation or some other level of something like that that they don't notice the imperfection, right? The way I would describe it is get really good at what you're trying to do first with everything except the technology and grow along with that at the same time. And then you're going to have something as you grow and you add new things and better microphones and things. You've already got that foundation there.
Yeah, and can I make a point, Stephen?
Yeah.
You know, I'd love to use OBS for everything. I'd love to, and it just the simplicity of StreamYard is why I went there. You know, it's very
Sure.
simplistic. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles. And I posed a question earlier about OBS and bringing guests in. I always found it difficult in OBS to bring guests in via Zoom or Skype. And I don't know if that's gotten better or easier in OBS, but it just seems so difficult. And with StreamYard and some of these web-based applications that just pop in guests, you send them a link and it's bing, bang, boom. It just makes it easy. But that's my question on OBS.
Well, I know OBS just came out with a new thing like vMix Call and Rendezvous that they have. I forget what it's called with OBS, but you send the person a link, they choose their camera and microphone, and it brings them in as a source within OBS. But you're right, it's been cumbersome. Earlier in the days, Jeff, you remember we used to have to use Desktop Presenter from Wirecast or capture cards and capture Skype on 4 separate machines because you couldn't open Skype and you couldn't add multiple Skype callers. It was one or none, right? So we had to do it that way, and so it's come a long way. Greg and I both use OBS Live, but we use it for like our game streaming stuff. But we also use vMix, and I know Jeff Fitzgerald, you use vMix, and vMix for a basic copy for what most people could use it. I think it's like what, $200 or $300. I think for like
I think so, $350, something like that.
And that's for vMix HD, right? There's a standard edition, standard def is like $60. I want to say.
Yeah,
you can
4K
pay
is
Dogecoin.
700. I think.
Yeah, for 4K. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, you can, you know, Steve, you know this obviously when we do it on social. I mean, there is software out these days that if you want a dedicated system, you've got a PC that is beefy, got a big graphics card, and you want to really dedicate to having that interview system in play. There's products like Live to Air from NeuralNet that'll give you the 4 and coming soon 8 and 10, 12 callers,
right,
to be able to do that kind of thing. But it's something that is not for everybody. It's a lot more complicated if you don't understand all of these other things, and so that's why we don't usually talk a lot about it right here. But for the very serious user, there's options there that would make that work with vMix or any other streaming app.
And I wanted to kind of show everybody here. We didn't do the show last night, and there was a reason. I've been working on this with a buddy of mine, Chris, who also works with Greg. They had asked me to come in and produce the play, which I have another play on Monday that I'm going to be doing. But I want you to take a look at this. This is just a clip of the play. We had set up 4 cameras, and I'm going to show you the setup. But we made it look like a Nickelodeon TV show, essentially. And we set it up with 4 cameras, 1 on each side of the stage, 2 on the outside. But to look at, when you see this rig, you're going to go, holy cow. So there's ways that you can do this to give that kind of production and keep it simple, if you will. So that's essentially the play. And this is what we had set up. I brought in a monitor, just a simple, we had 4 cameras running. I was switching it, and my buddy Chris, he was running the joystick, which was controlling all the cameras, and that's just his little monitor there to see it. And he was also making sure the audio was running smooth with his iPad. And then I had underneath here, I had a PreSonus audio interface. Rexer, you were asking about that. I use them all out in the go. I had a PC, and then I had 4 cameras going, 2 out in the crowd.
That's awesome.
Because obviously, COVID, we're still in the end of it, right? So they're only allowing a certain amount of people coming in. Some people are a little nervous about coming in, so they wanted to have this available. But I wedged the cameras to where you couldn't see them on shots on stage, and I also added some ambient mics up above just to pick up some noise so it didn't sound so hollow and radio sounding from their mics, because after all, it's a play, a TV show. We wanted to have that noise. And this is just on my rolling cart in the back of the PC. I'm very meticulous of how I set things up because of being able to close. It's all enclosed. 20 minutes, I'm set up and ready to go. All the way down to L connectors for all of my inputs on the back, so I can close doors. And pretty simple setup, right? I mean, it wasn't a lot to it.
Pretty simple setup. You're just like, oh yeah, this was just on the rolling cart that I had sitting in the back seat of my car.
It really was.
Playing around.
It was just stuff.
You should have a YouTube channel about this kind of stuff or something.
I do. But
Wait.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, the cool thing about what you're doing there is that theater is, I think, going to become in 2021, 22, whatever, that's going to be the hidden hallmark of what the Zoom world was like a year ago, because there's so many people now that have discovered that online you can actually begin doing the arts in a Zoom setting. You can do a murder mystery, and you can, obviously Zoom has a horrible chroma key, but if you light it really well and, maybe you do some tricks with some like OBS and things, you can make it look like two people are in the same room and things. So I think there's going to be a really interesting moment where, as we go through these ebbs and flows of what we can do before we got to run back in the house and things, you're going to see more systems like this that are set up for very specific performers, and there's even going to be parts of it that are done remotely.
But even Greg, with the night of worship that we did for your church, being able to bring that in, right? A setup like that.
Just imagine that setup that Stephen just showed you last year, and we'll be doing again in June at an amphitheater. People spread out, that camera set up, and then he, through cellular network, is hitting the data up to the cloud, and we live streamed outside. It was unbelievable.
And so what we wanted to do is take a lot of the, like Rex was saying earlier, just the complications. I wanted to be able to come in, take one plug it into an outlet, and it powers everything. Everything's self-contained. Everything, I can pick it up and move it. The only thing we have to set up is literally the cameras, because I built everything into the box, which I know a lot of you guys, you're like, hey, you haven't done a YouTube video in a while. Yeah, because the last 3 months, Greg will tell you, I've been sending him update after update. I've been building that box. I've been doing a lot of things because this is the side you guys don't get to see, which is why I got to thinking
and
about
you've been
this.
playing Fortnite.
Well, yeah, then there's that too. But nobody wants to come watch me play Fortnite. Nobody wants to come watch me play Fortnite.
It's all fun and games till someone in the congregation says, Alexa, turn off the soundboard.
But see, that's where I don't know. So I don't have any. My house is set up with that, with all the smart lights and stuff upstairs, but none of the studio equipment. That's a good tip. Never put your studio equipment on Alexa or Google, otherwise you're toast. Forget it. Because it takes the one child to do that, and you're done. But like I said, we could spend hours on one particular topic, one easy topic. And I know, Rex, you wanted us to kind of go back to the Photoshop aspect. Greg had mentioned earlier the Canva. I use that a lot for thumbnails. I'm sure guys in the chat room, if you're a content creator, put in what your thoughts, what you use to create your thumbnails, because anymore, if your YouTube video does not have a thumbnail, more than likely you're going to lose half of your views. And I don't know necessarily why that is, but it seems like, yeah, maybe it could be.
Well, not only a thumbnail, but YouTube is looking for an HD thumbnail. They're looking for one like. They're looking for one share. They're looking for one Facebook like. They put all those algorithms together to help get your channel out to more of an audience. And, there's a third party. Everybody may hate it or like it. I don't know. I don't use it. I'm looking at it. It's called TubeBuddy, and it will do an analysis of your videos, making sure that you're best suited to hit the right algorithms to get views.
So real quick, over on Haps, Lindsay says she uses Affinity in lieu of Photoshop. I'm assuming that's what she's referring to. So Affinity, I guess, is a graphic suite
Yes.
as well.
It's a photo. It is. It's an affordable photo editor, and I can easily see why somebody might want to use something other than Photoshop, because I started. I think it was 1993 that I started with Photoshop, and I realized one day you didn't realize you ever got good at it. You realized your head stopped hurting, and
Pretty much.
it's just the most unintuitive piece of software. But the trade-off is the world revolves around Photoshop and the quality. I mean, it's obviously hands down the best editor ever created. So you just got to decide where you want to invest that time. If you see yourself being someone that really wants to go deep into design and those things, and Photoshop's for you, you just commit to that time and learn, and that time will pass and you'll get great at it. But there are some great apps like Affinity Photo Editor for sure.
Now, Steve and Jeff Rainwater was talking about time and how much time it took. And I think that was one of the key things is you have to get efficient with whatever you're using. I even used apps on an iPad to do,
Yes.
Photoshop editing. And then I finally got Photoshop on Windows. I use 2017 still because it's free.
That's
I'm
just
not
fine.
paying. I don't want to pay, but it works fine once you learn it. And then there's a lot of Linux-based editing tools that are probably just as good as Photoshop and free. So, it's just to get efficient with whatever you're using, and that'll save you time.
I think we brought it up. GIMP is available on Linux, if I'm not
GIMP.
mistaken.
Free.
Yep.
Rock solid.
Yeah. So those are, I mean, there's so many different tools. Some people, like a buddy of mine who helps me with cameras sometime, he uses Corel Draw still. And I know
Oh man.
that, yeah, and that was huge back in the day. And he has a
Yeah, yeah.
professional graphics design business where he makes like the vinyl that we see on the side of the arcade cabinets, guys,
Oh,
for you
cool.
arcade guys. But also he does signs on vehicles, he does signs on billboards and walls and stuff. But he uses Corel Draw. That's what he knows, and that's what works for him. I get lost in Corel Draw. I just open it up and I'm going, yeah, no, that's not happening. I mean, that's the reality.
I love MS Paint, but it's a little bit limiting.
Yeah, P-Dubs uses that.
Yeah.
Well, let me make a suggestion also, in all seriousness. So we all want to be better content creators. Early in the program, I think even before Jeff hopped in, I was talking about one of the important things to make you successful are relationships. So if there are people in your circle that believe in what you do and they care about it, you can start to build a small network of people that this is not cost inclusive. This has nothing to do with money. This is relationship. So I have people right now that help me on the graphic design side. They believe in what I'm doing. I call, I say, hey, Josh, I need a 15-second intro video made. I need this edited. No problem, PG. I'll have it ready in 24 hours. Believe in what you're doing. I have another friend. Anything that I put out that is written, he's an English nerd. He is my editor, but he's my friend. And I don't over abuse it, but we've built a relationship where you have care, where people can come alongside and help. It's a biblical principle. It's one of the things that Stephen and I do. Stephen has been so huge to help me on the technical camera side, streaming side. I'm helping him on the audio side, the music side. It's all about relationships. So look for those people that can get into your circle that believes in what you're doing, and they will want to be a part of it. I'm telling you, they'll want to be a part of it.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's great advice. Steve, let me take a minute if you don't mind. I just want to throw a little pitch out there for maybe you don't have a relational community. If you're looking for good, safe feedback, a place that I like to call a safe place to suck as you're going live, you're wanting to test those live streams, you're wanting to really decide where you want to go with it, not only in terms of the technology, but the content and the design. I have a content creator group. It is free. I'm not selling anything. The people that I work for are not, I don't make my money on the internet. I do my other broadcast work and things. But this is a group of about 120 people, and I'm only going to grow to maybe 500 ultimately, because I'm looking for people that are willing to be vulnerable, to do what we're doing today. Say, hey man, I'd like to make this look better. How can I do that? And the group is called the Digital Green Room, from Jeff and High Def. That's what I go by. It's my company. And if you want to go to join.tdgr.live, you're more than welcome to join. There's no cost. and there's a great group of people in there, and some of them are all stars that you would know their names. Steve Haywood is one of them. I do a show every Tuesday night called Profiles, and Steve was one of our interviews 2 weeks ago. So if you're interested in finding a home, if you don't have that community base, I would bet you're going to find your people there. And so take a look at it, and you're more than welcome to join.
I'll also put the link here if you guys want. And you can see I even ask questions in there about certain things that are outside of my realm when it comes to, the whole remote production thing, right? You find different avenues that come up. Like I was talking with Chris, it's hard to talk to him. So I was like, well, how can I get an intercom going on the cheap? Because I'm not doing it all the time. I don't want to spend thousands of dollars. I know it's out there. And I came up with a little bit of a solution thanks to some of these guys that were putting options and different things like that. So absolutely, if you want to know more about content creation, you really should. I know, Greg, you're a part of that group as well, and got you in there. So you guys definitely want to.
Yeah, I enjoy
it. So
awesome.
We want to. My whole premise behind this was, to help content creators. I know it sounds funny because the more and more I learn about the gaming community, it seems like a lot of these guys are like cutthroat, out for themselves, and it's hard to believe that people actually want to help you. And I can honestly say that's been my motive the whole time, coming in here and trying to help with video. This is what I do. It's what I do for a living. It's my passion. Like Greg said, he called me up. I was like, I'm having this problem. What do you think? We're like, well, let's try this, and this. Sometimes we fix it quick. Sometimes it's an hour, 2 hours. Jeff, we've done that before in the past.
Yes, we have.
But there's a great group of guys that, you guys have talents, we have talents. We could do a lot. So I just need to know if this is something you guys find useful. I don't know if you guys feel the same on the panel here, but
I think it's been awesome, man.
I think it's something we should do if they want it, and we can get into some of the nitty gritty stuff. Some of you guys, how to build a streaming machine. If you're ready for that step of building a PC, and some of you guys with the gamer rigs, you know how to do that. But streaming machines are a bit different when it comes to stuff like that, hardware wise. Talking about like Rex said about lighting. Setting up proper lighting. What's a key light? What's a fill light? Why do I need that? What does that terminology even mean to me? You mean I don't turn my lights all the way up as bright as they can go? These
What
are
about
things.
color light, temperature?
Yes. White balance, autofocus, manual focus. Why you should use manual focus over autofocus. All these terminology that I could see Jeff Rainwater right now is glazing over. You could just see it in his face. He's just. It just, he's losing it, right?
Glasses.
See?
I want to just show you something. See my glasses? Now then show Greg and look at Greg's glasses.
Yeah, let me show you a little trick. Take your glasses and lift them up off your ears just a little bit on the back. Still wear them, but lift it up off your. No, don't look like old man Magoo.
You were there.
There you go. That's just a little trick that you can do.
I owe you $1,000 already.
Well, also with lighting positions, right? Like I have two big lights. I even have lights running across the top here, but you don't see it. I have a light over here. I want to show you something. Even with.
He said make it as bright as possible.
No, don't make it as
like
so.
This.
So if you look at this TV, when I'm looking at the camera, it almost looks like this TV is flat. But if you notice, I have it tilted and I have it tipped forward. Probably a good. I would probably say a good 6 inches off the axis, and that's to make the lighting so it doesn't bounce off of it, and it gives it the illusion that it's my background. There's different tips and tricks that you can do to make, just with lighting, to make it that much better.
Stephen, go back to the glasses. The reason my glasses have no glare is because of relationship. Honestly. Stephen Haywood taught me how to do that. Simple.
There's just little tricks that don't cost you money that you can improve your video. I guess that was unintentionally. It seems like the premise, Jeff and Greg, of the show today is yeah, we have a lot of equipment. Yeah, we have a lot of stuff, but we can show you different ways. I could show you how to make a whole lighting grid for your studio. under $50 at your local Lowe's and have top-notch results. I did it. In fact, Greg, I shared that with
And
you.
you gave it to me.
That was your first lighting setup when I upgraded. No, yeah, I mean, he used it. He used it, and then he upgraded because he's like, yeah, I want to go to LEDs that are cooler, but you used it, and it worked for you.
For months and months and months.
And I think there's a hidden gem there, because you start where you're at, right? And so there's not a thing wrong. I have a 12-foot green screen over here in addition to this, what I call the live desk, where I've got a wall painted. And I've still got the Lowe's like 4-foot shop lights that I took apart the little internals so that they wouldn't buzz and shake, so they're quiet. And it's been 6 years, and they've been working great. And there's many lights out now that are less expensive that would do a much, maybe brighter job and wider, and I could control color and things. But, sometimes the simple is the answer, but there's other times when I think you can overbuy on your journey. And then what you do is you get it. You're like, hey, I've got this X84 95.6 NDI, but I don't know what to do with it. And then you spend 6 months scratching your head. So you got to be careful where that is in line. So yeah, start where you're at. And if you got $50 lights, but they're making you look great, man, that's the answer.
Well, and I want to show somebody, Greg, I don't know, can you show a shot of your studio with the foam on the walls? Do you have a shot set up for that?
Give me 30 seconds.
Okay. So while he's doing that.
Hey, but I was going to say one thing. And I think Jeff would agree with this. And you were talking earlier about how many in the gaming world are cutthroat competition out for themselves only. But what people
I was referring to you when I play Call of Duty, but I'm sorry.
Oh, well, you're not in my league. But hey, what I'm talking about is this. When Stephen Haywood gets better and has more viewers, I get better. When Jeff gets better, I get better. It's creating that world that we have to think differently. I want people to be successful because it changes the industry. And when the industry gets better or more people are involved in the industry, it's ultimately going to affect me.
That's right.
It's simple.
And people don't
if
have that
you'll cut
mentality.
away from me, I'll grab you a pick.
Okay, so
thanks.
Greg's going to show some foam for your walls. I have it in my studio, and people said, well, that's great, Steve. I don't have $200 to throw down on foam for my my studio. Okay, I have a solution because I used it in the very early days, and it'll cost you about $15. If you guys are familiar with this, or maybe you can go to Walmart, 5-zone 1.25" foam mattress topper. You can cut this into squares. Have your wife, if you want to do giant rectangles, if you have a wife or if you're good with it, you get this. Cut it in 4-foot strips, 4 foot by 2, and you get some fabric. Wrap the fabric around it, duct tape the back, use thumbtacks, thumbtack it to your wall, and you have instant sound panels to prevent the audio from bouncing off of your drywall, your cement walls, whatever, if you want to make it look pretty. I've seen guys that I've recommended this to, they've actually spray painted it, let it outside for a little bit, and brought it in. They did cool designs on it. It works the same way this other foam does, except that you got to do a little bit more work. You got to cut it. Where
you definitely have a little bit more work on it. And
yes.
I would be remiss with my fire rescue background to say that if you do this, you always want to look for material that is completely flame retardant.
Yes.
What you don't want to do is go out and buy the the yard sale egg crate going, hey, that'll work. I'm going to put it over my only door out of my bedroom. But it does work. You can definitely do that, and it's a great tip for saving a lot of money because foam is expensive.
Yes.
Yeah, well, when your wife is at work, you take the sheets off your bed, you take the foam topper off your bed, and then you just put the sheets back on, and then it costs you $0. And just remember, when she goes to bed that night, you just tell her, look, it was Stephen Haywood's idea.
All right, I think PG, are you thinking about, he's still working on it. But no, there's different ways that you can do this stuff and get that, because in my studio, I've got the old 80s basement with the wood paneling, and the drop ceiling helps because it's foam. But the walls, when the studio was empty before I had any of the arcades, it would just sound like a wind tunnel through here. I would say something, and it would just, you could hear it bouncing. And so I took some of the foam that I had from the other house and only did from the end of my bar, if you will, back, so that way when I'm sitting in here, it doesn't sound like a cave, and it absorbs the audio. But I didn't do the whole room because there was no reason to. I just didn't want it to resonate my audio. But I also did it is because I have a rack of audio gear and video gear, which I'll show you for those that don't see it. Let's go this way, right here. So all this stuff has fans in it. In fact, this here is a rack. This is a fan for the rack to keep it cool. But this machine is my main switcher. This machine is how Greg and Jeff are getting in here. And then this routes all my video. This machine up here streams it. I know it's a lot of overkill, but again, I do this for a living. It's what I do here. My point is, you guys aren't hearing that into my microphone, and it helps because of the acoustics in the studio. So sound isn't necessarily just the microphone. There's a whole, that's why I said we could get into audio. We could spend like 10 hours for 3 days talking about audio because there's a lot of things.
Stephen, that was the other thing about why I talked about dynamic mics, is because they don't pick up as much as the surround sound as a condenser mic, correct?
Correct.
I mean, you know, and that is your noise suppression kind of, without having a filter of noise suppression or you know, noise in the background.
Exactly. And I think that
picks up my rooster like crazy.
Yeah, see,
rooster in the backyard. It's like cock-a-doodle-doo.
And the one I'm
Right when
using
you're
now
trying to
does that
record.
too. But when I use my other XLR mic, the more studio music-based mic, it's a Sennheiser, I think, and Greg probably knows about that if he's a musician, but I am not. But I love that mic because of the sound and that there's no noise in the background.
Steven.
yes, sir. I got you potted up.
So, all right. So, you can go back to the 3 cut shot for a second.
Okay.
So here's what I learned today. Whenever I do a live program with you on the spur of the moment, do not fire up 1/3 of my studio. I just tried to fire up my other cameras to give the other angles so I could show it, and it won't let me grab them because we're streaming.
Okay.
So I just brought an old picture in.
Oh, okay, cool.
Now this, yeah, no problem. So hey, we make it happen, man.
That's
so
right. That's
we
where
can
we
go
roll.
to this
There you go.
now, but this is where this was 3 to 6 months into the journey. It started with one computer. It wasn't an SDI. It wasn't a PTZ Optics camera. It was nothing. So this was into the road. There is Stephen Haywood's Lowe's lighting setup with the extension cables run. This is about halfway through the journey. The studio has changed completely now. The green screen would be behind that desk. The lighting is completely changed. The entire room is now paneled. But that's a basic look at where I'm sitting right now.
Now, Greg, I have a question for you.
Yes.
As I mentioned, my brother's a musician, and he has a personal studio and a real studio. In his personal studio, he only has certain areas with the foam padding for no. So he didn't do the whole walls, but he put certain sections, you know, different. I mean, is that acceptable to do, or do you have to do the whole, you know, the whole?
No, you can do whatever you need to do. For me personally, I'm broadcasting multiple things in here, so I wanted a completely dead room.
Mhm.
A lot of music studios will have sound panels placed every 6 feet. There's
Yeah.
wall sound panel. That's because they want some room ambience. In our church sanctuary, we had a professional engineer come in from Cincinnati, Ohio. Our sound panels are placed at certain places where the audio's hitting, but we wanted some ambience. For my studio here, I want it dead completely.
Yeah.
I want to generate every effect I do.
And I kind of did the opposite, where I only did, like I said earlier, you can see the line there is at the end of my bar. It only comes up to there, and then it's paneled wall to wall all the way back through here behind the TV and everything. It's got the foam, and then it comes all the way over here, and it's foamed all the way to that where all the wires come down next to the Star Wars figurines there. But that's essentially all the foam that I have running inside there. Jeff, I don't even think you're running complete baffled studio, correct?
No, this desk that I'm at right now is basically in an 8 foot by 8 foot square. It's in what the bump out of my house is, obviously in the basement. I've got a bigger, like I said, area over here where I've got a stand-up screen, a teleprompter, and things. In here, I've got the sound reinforcement in front of me, so that as I'm speaking, I'm not sending that audio bouncing all around. Good tip about audio is that if you think about audio like if you were standing on the edge of a little pond and you threw a little rock, those ripples are the same thing that sound does. And so what you want to do if you're doing situational sound dampening, you would have to kind of figure out where is the area where that sound is being reflected and bounced around. And a lot of times it's corners, because it can hit one corner, hit another one, and come back at you and things like that. But by and large, I mean, I've got carpet, which is, big rule number one. If you really want to deaden sound, any hard surface that has some sort of a softener is going to help. But the other part of it is, we've been talking about audio all day, is that I'm not screaming. If you control your audio, or you're speaking up a little bit more, which means you can turn your record level down a little bit, you can control every bit of that. And that way it's not so much that you have to basically create the International Space Station or some like caged room, or something along those lines.
Well, I think for Greg, though, he needs to be in a padded room. I'm just saying.
Is that what PJ stands for? Is padded jail?
Padded.
It
stands for Pastor Greg, and it just became my nickname for the last 25 years. But it stands for other things.
So you also got stuff there, Jeff, in your background. You've got board games that all that stuff
That's
absorbed.
the only reason. I don't play the games. They're just for sound dampening.
I figured as much. And you got the lights bouncing there, but you have something that's dampening the sound at least.
I usually just run a cable back to my shower because I go the other way. I want all the reverb I can
Gotcha.
to sit in the shower and podcast.
Oh, you might as well.
No, actually, this is all cardboard, really. So,
oh, there you go.
I mean, that's what board games are, like 90% cardboard. So it's a little expensive. It's probably cheaper to just get the foam. So
yeah. So
hey, Steven.
Yes.
Steven, it's just so many topics. We could talk till Jesus comes.
I know.
But if you'll cut back to that shot with the cardboard.
Of Mr. Cardboard here?
Yes. Okay. Now, I just want you guys to imagine this. Imagine $2, $3 little lights from Walmart shooting a little uplight, illuminating that cardboard. His backdrop instantly looks 100 times better. $3.
Yeah, with some color.
He's got a little bit of color there. Look, he's got a little.
There it is. Yep. You hid the color.
There it is.
There you go.
No, wait. That just means the cops are outside his house.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's all that is.
Party time.
So I want to address.
Change it with my phone too, and get you want a different mood, or like for certain holidays or whatever.
I want to address a comment in the chat room. I know Zohar's been going on, and Zohar, we're not ignoring you, but we're trying to stay relevant on the topic at hand that we're talking about. He does bring up an interesting point about with content creators that are ignoring the chat room. We, as content creators, we try to engage. I know, Greg, you like to welcome every single person that comes into your live show. For a while, we weren't able to do that on social and broadcast. Now we just had too many people. We'd spend the whole show just thanking everybody for showing up, and that's something we're going to definitely have to address in a future show, is how to manage your community to where you don't offend your community, right? Where they think that they're still being heard, and I'm constantly watching the chat in front, and I'm trying to keep the comments going on the lower third, and that's something we've incorporated recently. That is something that I think a lot of content creators don't do correctly, is they just ignore the chat and they keep going on, especially when they're going to multiple destinations. And I think if you're going to multiple destinations, you need to have something in place to where you can monitor all those chats, or don't do it, because it's not helping your community. If they won't feel like a part.
It's a fatal mistake. I've learned this quickly. If you do not interact with those that are watching your program, stop streaming. One, there are some things you can do. Now my stream's growing. I'm not able to call everybody by name, but I'm always with my vMix social running up here on my left monitor. People are interacting. I'll give 2 examples that I do. Number one is on Friday Fun Nights, I post a question of the night. And for the next hour, chatters are popping in their answer. The question from the program last night was, are you a dog or a cat person? I'm sitting here talking about the news, but my chat blew up. People are going, dog, 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 cat, 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 cat. And I'm just saying, hey, looks like 80% are dog lovers, 20% are cat lovers. I got talking about Portland, Oregon on Tuesday night and about how that city has been destroyed. A chatter popped in. I see it on vMix Social. Hey, I live right across the Columbia River in Vancouver, Washington. Listen to this guy. Everything he's telling you about Portland is 100% true. I responded to him. I talked to him. I'm always watching that chat, finding a way to get the community involved. It's key.
And I know, Jeff Fitzgerald, you do that as well during your broadcasts as well.
Yeah, I think there's a trade-off, right? I mean, you can't be so community focused that you're not doing your show, but at the same time, when people give you their time, which is the greatest asset of their life, that means something. And so I think there's a couple of things you can do. Number one, find people who will run those chats or monitor those chats on each platform for you. If you're on 3 different platforms, have somebody that is monitoring those. And maybe you're in a Discord and one of your monitors in studio is they're sending you a cut and copy of what those comments look like. So you can at least verbally say, hey, you know what, Steve said this, or Greg said that. And I think there's a way that you can kind of do that. And again, vMix Social is a great answer that if you got an automated system, whether it's that or StreamYard or whatever, you can always have it say, hey, welcome, and list the names while you're still doing your show, but they're getting a little bit of, airtime, so to speak, to thank them for it. But at the end of the day, I personally think there, as Greg alluded to, have these moments where it's the moment where you're going to engage the community and let them put some things out there. And that way you're going to get the best content to put up on a full screen graphic to say, hey, this is what I think about this particular, topic or a news story or whatever it might be. But yeah, there's a lot of ways to do it. But the non-negotiable is you cannot ignore people that you're really putting all this work into hoping to get. And then when they get in front of you, you just ignore them. That doesn't work and you'll lose big time.
Stephen, if I could comment, because I've been on not long ago the other side where I was a viewer and not a podcaster. And when I do a podcast by myself, it's extremely difficult to monitor the chat, interact, and do your content at the same time. But you have to do it. And it even so much as little as I remember is if I did any comment hello, or it showed up, hey, this person has joined the stream or watching, just saying, hey, thanks for joining really quick. Hey, thank you, Rexer Show, for coming in, and then right back to your content. Even little, now when you have 300, 400, it's impossible. Right. I get it. But I've gone even so far as going back to my videos sometimes, and maybe even Jeff Rainwater can attest to this. I've rewatched the chat, and if I miss something critical that somebody was asking me, I have found them on social media and said, hey, sorry, I missed your question. But here's the answer that I would have given if I read it.
Yeah, that's great. I've noticed too that even sometimes if you're just streaming like gameplay, the game that you're playing can make a big difference. If it's something that you're like having to focus so hard you can't see the chat, then you're gonna tune out. I watched a stream with Glenn a week or so ago, and we love Glenn, but he was playing. I don't even remember what he was playing now. Alien Storm on his iArcade. And for about 35-40 minutes, he didn't know that his screen was black. He could see the gameplay. And everybody in the chat was like, Glenn, we can't see the game. All we see is you staring at your screen in a little window. And for like a half an hour. And then he's like, thanks so much. And he would look at the chat. Right? He would look at the chat and be like, oh, thanks for joining, Brad. And then but he wasn't reading what anyone was saying. He had no idea. So, either find a game that is slower paced that maybe you can look over every once in a while, or in between levels or something. You hear people say like, well, let me catch up on what the chat's saying here.
Yes.
But make a point because a lot of times you don't know, they can't even see your screen.
No, right. Well, that's a good point.
Yeah, you know, hey, I got the game for you. It's called Wait in Line DMV Edition. Basically, you sit there for 4 hours and you hear like B35, and then you got time to talk to everybody. So it's
Well,
perfect.
and so if you've noticed, guys, even for a show like this, I could have come on here by myself and just talked to the community about this, but there's something about a banter between three guys that have the common interest and also that have a lot of experience in the area. There's a reason on the Retro Buzz, it's me, Glenn, and Doug. Glenn will be doing Glenn's thing, and Doug might be looking at the YouTube chat. I might be looking at Twitch and Facebook. I also have all the comments pulled up in BMix Social, so I'm parsing through comments if one of them are talking that I can highlight in a lower third, or maybe Doug's sending me a comment going, "Hey, Steven, get this, check this comment out. Highlight it. They've got a really good point I'd like to address." You know, it helps when you have additional people working with you, and you know what I've found personally with doing these shows, and we've done this with broadcasts now and on social when we did it. Give your co-hosts that can handle multitasking, give them a job to do while you're doing it, so you make it a team effort and you can really knock the production out of the park. Or even get your community involved, get them to help you parse questions, because sometimes you'll get somebody in there that's talking about something irrelevant to what you guys are talking about, and you need to parse through that because they're having their own conversation. Having people in there that are maybe sending you PMs and like, "Hey, Jeff Rainwater has a really good question. I think you should address it, Rex." You have that ability now that you're offsetting that area of production to somebody else while you're focusing on hosting the show, switching the show, and making sure your stuff's not crashing. I mean, that's at least in my experience. That's what I've done to circumvent that. Yeah, we all could get on the mic here. We're not all afraid of microphones. We could get on here and talk all day long, but is that really going to benefit the community? When you have so much to do. You guys agree with that?
Oh,
Yeah, I
I
agree completely.
totally do. I mean, I think it's, you talk about, the community and how that comes along. It was a scene from the Blues Brothers about what, maybe 2 hours ago. You called me up out of the blue. I was
Yeah.
40 miles away. You're like, "Hey, thinking about doing a show on broadcasting today. You in?" I'm like, "The band's getting back together." And I grabbed my Fender Rhodes 73, right? But the thing is, that's the whole part of communities. You get your friends excited,
That's right.
and you say, "Hey, there's a part for you and a part for you and a part for you." And together, I love this saying we have in the green room, which, we rise together. And that's exactly how you do it, man. You ask and you make it happen.
Well, even Greg, I called him up. I'm like, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Nothing. Just sitting here, getting ready for tomorrow." Like, how would you
No,
like?
but,
Come on.
listen, one of the biggest things that's helped me is that my news program has developed literally an online community where these people from all over the country now feel they know each other. They're talking back and forth. They're chatting to each other. And I mean, it's like a family, and it's grown. We have had 4 of my original viewers that have been in there, active chatters that have passed away from the coronavirus this year. Our community got involved, condolences, sending flowers, whatever it may be. With that word consistency, you develop something and it snowballs, and it's fantastic what comes out on the other side of it.
And why don't we, real quick, before we got to wrap this up here in a little bit, tell them also, now you've only been doing this for a year. Tell them also, you've got people, he does this beverage of the night, and they will send him some of the wackiest things that I wouldn't even drink myself, to be honest. And he'll drink the whole can of whatever it is, bottle, whatever, and he'll make the awfulest faces. He's got sound effects that go with it. And he'll just like, "This is the most putrid thing I've ever had in my life."
Hey, give me full screen. Here you go. This is what happens.
Ladies and gentlemen, what you are about to witness is not only exciting and educational, but sometimes a bit risky as well. Do not try this at home. It's time for the beverage of the night.
It goes to the beverage of the night. It is a segment that I developed by accident. Somebody had sent me a drink. I tasted it online, and it went bonkers. my refrigerator has a shelf dedicated to beverages of the night. People send me drinks from all over the country. I have had drinks sent from Japan, from China. I've had drinks sent from Canada, and they send them to me. It's like unique to the area. Not alcoholic, just crazy stuff. Like last night, the beverage of the night was peanut butter and jelly soda. And I try it. I've had top ramen soda. I've had, listen, you talking about crazy. I've had people send me the stuff that you take as a laxative before you have a colonoscopy, that sodium bicarbonate.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, I drank it.
Right
He did.
now.
He drinks it on air.
I drank it. But here's the deal. They're sending T-shirts. So we have marketing coming that's happening on its own. And literally, people are lined up. They write me a message. PG, love the show. Barney Fife is my sidekick, the deputy. And this beverage of the night has become a staple. People are excited, looking forward to seeing what is it going to be? What's his reaction going to be? And I tell them, hey, go buy some, go try it, or it's trash. Last night, it was battery acid, basically.
And then he'll do this like sound effects. It'll be like, dun, while he's waiting to, while everybody's waiting for the reaction. There it is.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
He'll do that, and you'll just be watching his face, and he'll be like, "That had to be the worst thing."
Trash.
Yeah, he'll do stuff like that. But it's
Greg, where can we find this content? I just subbed to your YouTube channel, but I gotta
Then you'll get it.
then you'll get it. It's all up on there.
You'll get it.
All right.
Turn your notification on every Tuesday and Friday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. 8:30 p.m. Eastern.
All right, I'm there.
Thank you
Steven,
for
can I
that. I
ask one
appreciate that.
question? Can I ask one more question about YouTube before we go?
Absolutely.
And he just hit it, Greg Terry is. He says he's on every Tuesday and what was it?
Friday.
Okay. How critical is it to be consistent with the time and the days you go live, and do you have to do it every, do you have to be so consistent that the algorithm picks it up and that you'll get more push outs?
Jeff is probably more qualified to answer that than me, but I can answer for myself. I'm live Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. I'm broadcasting on multiple platforms. Facebook blew up. I'm now trying to get YouTube to catch up. On Wednesday night, I'm also live at 8 p.m. and I do a full hour of music live. I've built a community there. So Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'm online. When the pandemic struck and we didn't know what to do, I was live 6 nights a week. And that is what built it. People were nervous. They were worried. They wanted to hear about the news. They wanted to hear about what the Bible says about it, et cetera, et cetera. Built this community. I caught the coronavirus in October the 9th. I'm 48 years old and healthy. I was down for 3 months with COVID. We just lost my father-in-law to coronavirus 3 weeks ago. So we've had to deal with COVID. It took me off the air. This was a big thing that is really relaunched in 2021. And I came back 3 months laying in the bed sick with coronavirus. I made some decisions. I'm coming back bigger than better than ever. I'm going to be focused on quality content. I'm going to do my best to upgrade and be professional, but at the same time be personal and continue to build the community. And I'm going to set a schedule and lock it. Tuesdays and Fridays. I've only traveled once this year. I usually travel about 30 weeks a year. We talked about that early in the program. I've backed that down now. The only trip I've taken this year, I was leading worship and doing music in Alabama, but my program was scheduled to be on at 8:30 Eastern. And at 8:30 Eastern, I broadcast live from Alabama through my iPhone. The community was there waiting. I didn't do a full program. I did a quick little beverage of the night, some Alabama sweet tea, talked about a couple of current events and blessed them, and it was done, but I was there. So to me, vital.
Yeah, I think that's just like the magic. That's the magic right there, is that you understand that let's say you meet somebody and you're really into them, man. They make you come alive, you know. And I'm using a romantic relationship as kind of a metaphor here. You set a time and then they're not there. How do you feel about that, right? I mean, so consistency, when they talk about it being king, it is absolutely everything. And I think that, you know, Greg just outlined exactly what you get from him, that you realize he's serious about this part of the relationship too, because there is a relationship between the content producer and the audience. And when you do that, great things are going to happen. There's no doubt about it.
And I can triple that. Like we do, you know, the Retro Buzz. Now, granted, everybody knows Fridays at 6 p.m. we do that, right? They also understand that part of my day job is I do video production outside, and they're willing to be flexible, but you're telling them in advance. You're not telling them the night of and say, oh, by the way, yeah, I don't feel like doing the show tonight, so I'm not going to be on. That is not forgivable. You let them know in advance, like, hey, just to let you know, I have this video production I got to do Friday. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be there. People can give you grace on that. But you've shown a track record. They know that you're not going to be here today, gone tomorrow type of thing. And I think it builds stability. Like, just like you want them to put time into watching your show and be there, you've got to also respect their time that they're setting aside for it. So I agree, man. I think if we start doing this show, Broadcast Now, which has the name in Google, that's why I would stick with that for the 140 episodes we did years ago. I would want to set a set date that we did it, and we roll. And if say, Jeff can't be there or Greg can't because he's traveling, we have, like, Marty to jump in or other professional broadcasters that we can keep the show rolling without that.
You know, let me add one last thing. I'm not trying to extend the program or anything, but Stephen and Jeff and everybody listening, when you are consistent, so on my Tuesdays and Fridays, I'm entertaining, but I'm discussing current events in the U.S. and around the world. And then I focus it to bring a message of hope the last 2-3 minutes. There's an entertainment value, there's a news value, there's an educational value. You know, we've learned about cryptocurrency. We've learned about what nuclear centrifuges are. And you're going, what on earth are you talking? Because it's in the news and nobody knows what it means. I explain it to them. We use video. But being consistent, I've now built a program that is layer upon layer upon layer upon layer, meaning what I was discussing with the audience 6 months ago, they remember. Now I'm able to build on top of it. And it's like watching a television show. You know, right now I'm watching The Mentalist on Amazon Prime. I'm in season 6. I'm not a TV watcher. When this program's over, I'm going to get some lunch and watch the next episode to see what Patrick Jane's going to do. But I've known what they've done for 6 seasons. And whether it's gaming, tech buzz, retro buzz, green room, news, it doesn't matter. You have to build layer upon layer. It works.
Does that
It
answer?
really does.
100%. Yeah. It's hard for, you know, a few of us who aren't in, you know, the business like you guys per se, but, you know, everybody says it, you know, you got to be consistent. And I'm like, I just don't have it. Well, if you know, you lose your fan base, you lose the algorithm, it doesn't push it out, you know, you might not get the notifications or whatever you want to get pushed out. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to do though for us.
Can I give you a little secret? And I know this is going to blow some people up, but I've seen some people start some new channels because they claim that the algorithm does not work for live content. I got news for you. They're full of doo-doo. These people that are creating new channels specifically for live content have no clue what they're talking about, have no idea how the YouTube algorithm works, and they're essentially splitting up their brand, which is not good. Why would I want you to subscribe to 4 of my channels that do exactly the same thing? Do you take your kitchen upstairs and take your vegetables and put them in one room, and your fruits and you put them in another room, and you take your meats and you put them in another? No, you don't do that. Well, the algorithm says I should. No, everybody keeps their food in the kitchen.
Well, Steve, I've got one I think that goes along with that I think could even be a bigger win if you can figure out what that looks like for you. And that is maybe don't rely on a machine to make you popular.
That's right.
Create content that people actually want to watch and want to engage with. And when I say content, you and I have had this conversation, Steve, with on social for years. I despise the word content because it's open-ended. It's a vast, specifically vague word. We don't know what that means. Create stuff that you would watch, that you would tell your friends about, and that you would say, you've got to check this out next week. If you're doing things like that, you don't have to worry about likes and follows and algorithms because they're going to take care of you already. Those things are going to be a byproduct of really, really great content. The way I look at it is that the folks who are focusing so much on all these mechanical answers, the reason they're doing that is their content's probably not doing a whole lot for them. And that's the difference. You've got to become a producer in the way you think about these things, not just a creator, because creators are going to play with algorithms. Producers are going to produce things that actually have a storyline and a what's next part to it and a testimony of hope and inspiration, whatever it might be. You got to get there. You got to think of it in those terms. And also say one other thing too, to his comment about showing up and you're worried about consistency. Man, the hardest part of this whole thing is showing up when nobody's watching. That's the part that every single time you go live, you're like, why am I doing this?
Yep.
I've got this show that I do. Steve was part of it here. I've done 8 or 10 shows called Profiles, and I'm only doing it in my little group of 100 people, mainly just because I love these folks and I just think that their stories are incredible. But I find that even when I'm doing them and not even really being concerned about the viewership, I'm still concerned about the viewership. And what I'm realizing is, and Steve was great at encouraging me here a month back to say, look, dude, if you really want to do this, stay with it. Be consistent, stay with it, keep moving on it, because it's in that valley of the shadow of death before you get to the promised land. And when you do it, you do it, and you have the faith to believe that what you got is enough, that you're enough. We've all got intrinsic value. You tell that other person's story, or you're telling your own story. You're letting people understand that there's something in this world to look forward to, whether it's a new game or it's some new insight or something like that. And people will begin to be like, man, that person I want to have more in my life. And then they're going to show up little by little, but they're going to be like teenagers. They're not going to tell you about it right away. You just got to believe they're there. And that's that growth part. And so if you can do that and be consistent, like what Greg is saying and what Steve's saying, I think that anything is possible. Every single one of us have the ability to do an incredible show. I believe that with all my heart.
And Rex, I think this goes back to you. You were ready to throw in the towel with that trivia show, and also the what was the show that Glenn bombed on me?
We had the Rapid Fire 5.
Oh yeah, the Rapid Fire.
And we had that one, and I stuck with it, and I have a good audience for me, good enough. And I can relate to some of those YouTubers. When I first started, you're streaming, you're doing something, whatever you're doing, and there's 2, 3, 4 people. You can't just stop talking. You can't just stop. You got to keep going. You got to keep talking. You got to act, even if you're talking to 2, 3, 4, 5 people. It will grow if you continue to do it. In my hands. Now, granted, to me, you got to have content. Build it with content, and they will come. You can't just do the same thing that everybody else is doing. Not have personality. Not have content. You got to have those things, and people will watch in the end.
And that's what we want to do here. Go ahead. Sorry, Jeff.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I've got a little bit of a delay.
You're good.
Rex, I got a question for you. With the 4 of us talking here, how much of a conversation has that felt like?
How much of a conversation has it felt like?
Do you feel like you're getting something out of it? We're having a pretty good little talk here, and it's actually, there's some cool stuff going on.
Oh, of course. No doubt about it. I love the interaction. I love learning about this.
Yeah, so picture it this way, right? You're doing your trivia, whatever it might be, and up in the corner, it says 3 people are watching. You may not be having the conversation the way we are, but you're with 3 other people. And those 3 people really matter, even at 3 people, right? And if you drop this stupid thing that everybody seems to be chasing quantity, that you're only good if you have 100 people live or 1,000 people live, none of that matters. The reality is that if you're having a really good conversation with 3 people, people are going to come up and be like, hey, I want to hear what he's saying. What is he doing, right? And that's how great things happen. So just be encouraged with that, man. Just stay with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Amen.
I have times where I'm streaming and it's just like it's Brad and Mango Slice, right? And they're like the only ones watching. And we'll go for like a half an hour, but you know what? They're with me for that whole half an hour.
That's right.
They enjoy that content.
Don't despise small beginnings.
That's
Well,
right.
okay, I'll tell you one example of a guy that I think does a really good job is this YouTuber called his name's Mr. Beast, and he does all these crazy philanthropy things. But he'll do like a contest where he'll say like the last person to take their hand off of this car wins the car, or something. But it'll be a 20-minute video, and people will watch it for the whole 20 minutes because they want to see what's going to happen at the end. They want to see who's going to be the last person to take their hand off the car. But if you just give everybody everything in the first 20 seconds of your 10-minute video, you're going to lose all your watchers in the first 20 seconds, right? Because, oh, you already told me what you think of that product, and why should I watch the next 8 minutes, you know? So keeping people engaged for the full length of your video is important, I think, and giving them some reason to watch it till the end and not just, you know, hey, you know, now I'm just going to watch 10 minutes of nothing. I've already got what I wanted out of the video.
Well, and here's the thing. What we're talking about today is very niche. Arcade and gaming is very niche. It's not something that the vast majority is going to tune into. So I didn't know. I called these guys up an hour before we went live, and I said, hey, do you want to join? I don't know how many. Greg didn't say, well, how many people do you think you're going to have live? Jeff never said, well, only if you have 20 people live, I'm going to jump on, or 100 people. We wanted to bring value. If we couldn't bring value, there's no point in doing the show. We're just having a conversation publicly. And I think that the people that find this interesting are going to spread the word, right? So, you know, if Rex has a couple buddies that want to learn how to podcast, he's going to be like, hey, you know, Tech Buzz over there, these guys are doing some broadcasting show. You need to check it out. You guys are going to do that. You're going to go and tell other people because you got value out of it. If you're not getting value out of something.
Notes.
He's taking notes.
Canvas, TubeBuddy, PDGR.live.
But I think
I've got some. I've already.
Hey, hold on.
My glasses.
Yeah, hold on. Don't forget the peanut butter and jelly soda.
yes, peanut butter jelly soda.
Correct.
Don't forget
It's
that.
key.
Write that
Peanut
down.
butter and jelly soda.
The other
I kind of want to try that.
the other thing is when we did broadcast
You know.
now the first time, we never had Zoom to bring people in, and I think if we do these shows, we need to open Zoom up to get the people to come on.
Absolutely.
And you guys not be afraid to come on and ask questions, because there's no judgment here. Everybody's starting. I mean, if I don't know something, I'm just going to tell you. I don't know. I'll try to find an answer out for you, but I don't know. But I think this is something that I see a lot of guys in the gaming community, and it's not just for the gaming community, but whoever wants to join, they're trying to learn how to podcast. They're trying to learn how to do a live stream. And COVID really accelerated that in businesses, churches, schools, government facilities. Jeff, you're doing sporting events. I'm doing plays. Greg's doing podcasts for people that are just starting the podcast because they're seeing what he's doing. So it's really accelerated this thing that we've been saying for the past 15 years. It's coming, guys. Get ready. The live video revolution is coming. Guess what? It's here. So buckle up. It's only going to get better. So that's kind of where I'm at with it, and I think maybe we should just kind of end on that. And unless you guys got anything else to say, if you guys are interested, you've been listening to Greg, you like what he has to say, you can visit him over at youtube.com/Greg Terry Experience, and I'll pull that up here so you guys can see, so you know you're on the right channel. Like I said, he's got a lot of different videos. He's been also doing different reviews on different pieces of equipment that he's bringing into the studio that you can check out. Anything else you want to promote there, Mr. Terry?
No, sir. Thank you. I look forward to getting to know you guys better, other than Steven. And it's been a joy. And any way we can help, be happy to be a part of it.
Also want to thank Mr. Jeffrey Fitzgerald. You want to check him out as well, you can head over to his YouTube channel, Jeff in High Def. I believe I still have the Facebook group up.
That is my YouTube channel. Now, I have not grown my YouTube channel, but that is my new goal as of 2 months ago, and I'm working toward actually going to be streaming my profile show into a whole new channel. So, but you can find me at join.tdgr.live if you want to join the digital green room.
And I'll get that fixed over for a future episode if we do it.
No worries.
Rex, why don't you go ahead and plug your show that if you have one coming up or if you're thinking about doing one, put it out there.
I do. Tomorrow night we have the Everyone Has a Podcast by the Rexer Show, and we're going to be talking a little bit about leaks and cheaters. Is I believe the title episode, Leaks and Cheaters. So Jeff Rainwater, make sure you pop in there. You'll have a few choice words to say, I'm sure. And it's just the Rexer Show on YouTube.
And also, Mr. Rainwater, you're starting up Rainwater Gaming, Rainwater's Gaming, I believe.
Rainwater Games, and I'm making a video about leaks. And so the timing is
good.
Flawless there. So there may or may not have been some leaks this week in the arcade community that came out. So I'll have something to say about that. But yeah, Rainwater Games. I just subscribed to Jeff. I just subscribed to Greg. I'm already subscribed to Rexer. So yeah, check it out. I'm at like 280 subscribers. So I need those subscriptions.
Notice he didn't say he subscribed to me, but just,
I don't. I
just
unsubscribed to you yesterday because you didn't make a video. I said, "What? No show today." Unsubscribe.
Well, listen, I really appreciate you guys jumping on and staying for the duration, and you're welcome to come back on. Bring your questions next time. I'll talk with the guys after the show here and figure out what we can do. Like I said, Marty McPadden's a good friend of ours. He worked at ESPN in the production room for, I think it was like 35 years.
I think it was 20 years, yeah.
Yeah, pretty long time. And Jeff was on-screen talent for the news, his local news as an anchor. So there's a lot of experience here between the four of us. So if you guys enjoyed it, we'll definitely talk about bringing it back and see what we can do to help you guys the best way we can, and even bring in different people from the industry if that's something that you guys can ask questions about. So guys, we really appreciate it. I guess I'll do my typical exit on this, and so we don't know when we'll be back. There we're going with consistency. We'll hope we'll have some information in the future, but again, this was a one-off thing to do, but maybe we'll turn this into a consistent show if there's enough interest. So leave a comment in the YouTube video below if you want to see this come back, and we'll be happy to do it. So until next time, guys, keep it buzzing.
Transforms.
Who said I didn't buy the big one?
All the way.
Do you notice? Wait. Do you notice? He's